Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you to this webinar organized by Dynamic CIO in association with Google Cloud and Crimson Cloud. I'm your host for the day. My name is Muqbil Ahmed, Executive Editor, Dynamic CIO and Greyhead Media. First of all, I wish and hope that all of you are safe and secure. Friends, the topic for today's discussion is leveraging technology for business continuity. We would all agree that in these trying times, technology is actually at the front line of this crisis. Organizations that leverage it will be much better placed as far as survival and growth is concerned. We find that many enterprises are struggling to maintain business continuity, timelines, and productivity. Most of the workforce has gone remote to abide by lockdown norms. However, without the tools for collaboration and a good work from home experience, business continuity of many companies is at risk. It is in this context that technologies like cloud and applications like G Suite can empower and help employees collaborate and work as a team, even though they may be working remotely from various locations, from their homes, and whatnot. Enterprises need the benefits of cloud for flexibility, agility, and scalability. However, they need to act fast as time is critical. Organizations should intensify their focus on how to improve business productivity while optimizing costs. So the burning questions today are enterprises able to empower employees and help them deliver their best from a distance with minimum disruption? Are you able to provide the right collaboration and productivity tools to ensure business continuity? And friends, you would all agree that there couldn't have been a better time to discuss all this. And for today's discussions, we have a very interesting lineup of extremely knowledgeable, very experienced, and insightful speakers. I would take this opportunity to introduce the speakers of today's webinar. Mr. Subramaniam Gupta Boda, Head of Digital and IT Group, Puneet Kaul and CIO, Mannapuram Financial, Sujata Dusi, Customer Engineer, G Suite Specialist, Google, Arunachalam S, Vice President, Technology Solutions at Crimson Cloud. Welcome to the webinar, ladies and gentlemen. Before I request Sujata to start her presentation, I would like to point out that the last 10 minutes of the webinar will be a question and answer session. I would request all of you to keep sending your questions to us. We will take them up at the last. All yours, Sujata.
Thank you so much, Mukbil. I'll start off with presenting my screen. I wanted to take you all through a quick brief about G Suite and how organizations can collaborate effectively with G Suite. So, my name is Sujata Dusi. I'm a customer engineer specialized in G Suite from the Google Cloud team. And I wanted to discuss about G Suite today. And remote working has become an extremely new normal. I mean, users who were always working from office have now moved to working from remote locations, from homes, from different places in order to get the business continuity up and running. Now, in such a scenario, what typically is happening is there are always issues for users to collaborate among themselves. Teams are struggling, teams are working in silos, there isn't the right visibility, and above all, it's only causing more issues for the administrators because more and more security vulnerabilities are exposed, and it's also causing a lot of data leakage. Now, all of these are because of those point-in-point solutions and with solutions which are quite disconnected. Now, G Suite is that integrated workspace that helps organizations, users, and teams to get their work done from anywhere, anytime, and still be able to effectively collaborate among themselves. It has been adopted by over 6 million organizations globally, and multiple users are taking the benefit and effectively collaborating among themselves using G Suite. Some of the big logos you can see here, but there are over 6 million plus paying customers currently using it. So why G Suite? First and foremost, most of the users are extremely familiar of how to use the services. They are aware of the different services like a Gmail or a Google Calendar or even Google Meet, which is used across the globe by millions and billions of users. The simplicity which comes with the products is what makes the products so special. And they're easy to use, and the adoption becomes extremely simple and fast. Not just that, there's a lot of AI and ML that is built into the services, built into the technology. Now, what that essentially means is that it is helping you to do your work in a more smarter way. Because let us take simple examples like a smart compose in your email, or even an explore functionality of a Google Sheet. All of these help reduce the time to act and the time to complete. G Suite also brings in the flexibility for users and organizations in order to ensure that they are able to do the right work at the right time, because you are no longer dependent on working from a particular device. The users can work from any device, anytime, yet in a very secure manner. Now, all of these become a great benefit when we look at users coming from legacy environments or organizations which are heavily dependent on thick clients or attachments within their environment, where patchwork, upgrades, all of these become very, very critical, even to ensure that the users are using the right services. And the legacy tools or services lock you to a specific vendor. There's a specific agreement, or be it a specific device for an end user, that you always need to depend on a particular device even to finish your work effectively, while all of it wouldn't appear in a G Suite, because you are accessing the same information irrespective of which device you are connecting from. So why does G Suite make the best sense for businesses or organizations? Now, it's been observed, there's been a very detailed study done by Quadrant Strategies where it was a very clear call out that there is a complete positive change that happens with G Suite, either with the users as to how they enjoy working, mainly because they're familiar, or how they enjoy accessing the tools, or whether it is about co-working that changes the culture and allows users to work together on a same sheet or a slide instead of sending multitudes of attachments among themselves. Moving away from legacy tools, moving away from those thick clients and using the web-based tools help every user to use the latest services at any point of time without any kind of bifurcation among themselves. And all of these ultimately driving a great positive impact in the work. Now, G Suite comes with services that help users to communicate among themselves, collaborate among themselves, while admins still have the complete control on the data and how the users are working. When we speak about communication, there are tools like a Gmail, a calendar, a chat or a meet, and how you can have your tasks correlated and essentially finish up all of those tasks in the stipulated period of time. And all of it which makes communication very effective. Then there's a collaboration structure where there are multitude of tools that are available for the users, like a Google Doc or a sheet or a slide or Google Forms, which has been used extremely innovatively in this pandemic situation, whether it is a moratorium app of a banking or even a vegetable order of a reseller. Forms has been observed to be used extremely innovatively in this pandemic. All of it coming with a cloud storage, which makes you independent of the device that you're working, because you're always accessing the same file from any device that you're accessing from. There's sites, there's Keep, a Jamboard, a digital whiteboard where you can collaborate, and all of it with additional tools like AppScript and add-ons to customize it as per the organization's requirements. Admins have equal control on how they can configure the administrator settings, or how MDM comes inbuilt in all of our plans to bring in that by default security for all the organizations. With more and more users going mobile and going flexible, I believe that the mobile way of working becomes very critical, and security in the mobile becomes all the more critical. So with G Suite, we are looking at how organizations can reimagine how businesses work, be it how you can make things faster, smarter, or together. When I speak about making things faster, there are little things like you never need to use a Control S to save anything on G Suite, whether it's a doc or a sheet, because every character that you type automatically gets saved. 100 people can collaborate at the same time on the same document, which ensures faster work, and it helps to finish your work in a much faster way, because there are no more attachments that every user sends, drastically bringing down the amount of bandwidth needed for usage. Similarly, there's Smart Compose, which helps reduce millions of characters that every user types, because many of your sentences are auto-completed by Google. There's also a Make It Smart module, which essentially brings in search capability within every service of G Suite, because every user can find the right file and right content at any point of time without having any trouble in recreating the information, because you can always look up for information and get started from there instead of recreating it from scratch. There's AI built into every service, and whether it's an explore option in a sheet, you can quickly look up, search, or find the right diagrammatic representation for the data without putting in any effort of even to know how to create a pivot. There's an extremely strong security that comes along with G Suite, which gives a very fundamentally strong email security to G Suite. If you're aware, VirusTotal, which is owned by Google, works as a front end, and it helps mitigate any kind of risks or malware that come into your environment. And finally, with making it together, it helps to work on docs and sheets in a way more collaborative manner. You never need to send an email or get onto a meeting always to finish your work, because you can collaborate effectively even on a document. 100 people can co-edit. You can assign tasks to people. You can chat from within a document, all of which making collaboration way more simpler and easier for users. And with deep interoperability built into the services, you could send documents in the Google format to users outside of your environment as well, and still ensure security and appropriate permissions for the users. You could also seamlessly convert a Word or an Excel format on your device to a Google Sheet or a doc without a license on your device, without an MS Office license on your device, drastically improving the interoperability and assisting you to work seamlessly with users in any formats. The integrations with other business apps makes it all the more special, whether it's integrations with Salesforce or whether it's integration with the Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or the Drive. and also the SAP integrations. You can now extract information directly from your SAP into a Google Sheet. All of these integrations ensure better access and assist with your business needs. So, all in all, G Suite is that one integrated workspace that helps teams to do their best work from any location, anytime, and with the next gen Gmail that is now available. Users, all they need to do is open the Gmail app on their phone or from their web, and you could access your Gmail, chat, all of the one-to-one chats, chat rooms, access the files within the chat room, and also assign tasks to one another and get things done faster. So with G Suite and the next gen Gmail bringing in that integrated workspace, we believe that it will truly help organizations in bringing in the best of collaboration within the users. So how to get started? And there's G Suite, there are different plans where there are multiple services that come with it, whether it's the doc sheets or slides, or whether it's a Gmail or a calendar, or even the Meet or a chat. And there's also a G Suite Essentials flavor where if you want to continue with the email and the calendar from your existing services, you could still use the collaboration benefits by audio video conferencing needs or chat needs, or even the editors like doc sheets and slides or forms or even sites for the end users using the G Suite Essentials offering. So this way, it's extremely easy to get started and to quickly get onboarded and bring in the best of services for your end users. So I'd like to thank you and pass it on to the next speaker here, and looking forward to make it with G Suite.
Thank you, Sujata. I must say it was a brilliant presentation. And we now head straight away into the panel discussion. I would request all the panelists to kindly turn on their audio and video, please, if possible. So to start the panel discussion, I would initially request the CIO speakers to give their opening remarks on the situation that is currently prevailing and the importance of technology and how they envisage the future in something like a post-COVID scenario. I would request each speaker to take 2 to 3 minutes to do this. Let's all follow this order. Mr. Boda, followed by Ravi, followed by Puneet. Mr. Boda?
Sure, Mukbil. See, first and foremost, whatever the opinion, what I'm expressing here is purely my personal opinion, nothing to do with my current or previous employers. So thereby indemnifying them. But the situation is, see, we are all facing such a great challenge in front of us, which is the COVID, which kind of given an opportunity in, certain industries have transformed very positively and certain are impacted very badly. At this point in time, everything in the minds of companies or in the minds of people is the safety and collaboration and ability to continue to work and continue to sustain the business in whichever way possible. That has been the key thought process in front of everybody. Now, most of our businesses, like traditional businesses, when I say they were never ever prepared for this kind of a remote working. We are traditionally, like example, in the case of a real estate, I work in the real estate industry. Real estate, the work happens at the site. There's nothing called remote work there. I can't build a home remotely. I have to build in the site. It's as simple as that, right? So the people need to be there, collaborating in the site. We call it as in situ, right? In a way, collaborate, communicate, observe, be there, physically inspect, verify the quantity, verify the material, quality of that material, check that it's all touch and feel. There's no way you can think of. I would use my camera to point at the construction and say check the quality. Well, probably it will be, we are far off. Yes, the technologies are emerging in the direction. uh, yes, there are uh, new technologies like infrared and things like that are coming in with the lidar kind of, can you tell you about alignment, but beyond that it doesn't give you the things which are necessary. So one of the biggest challenge has been to be able to collaborate in an environment which is not very conducive for doing business, with the kind of things that social distancing is necessary and things like that. Now we are required to, or rather we are forced to kind of work in a situation and try and collaborate, and we have to acquire new skills. We'll talk about those new skills and how we have transformed our workforce in the next discussions, maybe, right, as we go. Let others speak. I think you're on
Thank you,
mute.
Mr. Boda. Yes. So, very interesting point that for an industry like real estate, technology is still far off from where you can possibly expect a lot of remote working. Very good points made. I would now come to Puneet. Puneet, what are your initial thoughts about this?
So, as far as the pandemic times are concerned, I think so. The resilience and the continuity of business is something which is the need of the hour, as that is the topic also of today's discussions, right? I would suggest that business continuity in terms of working from home, the new normal of working, all these things are the updates where people were talking about working from home, but it was like once anytime, it was at their own convenience and flexibility whenever they wanted, and they could have the organization which were allowing working from home. But now, under these circumstances, the pandemic plays, I said that it is become, and the it's not a working from home, it is like the flexibility of working from anywhere. That is the need of the hour. The second is in terms of while we are doing all the access and giving continuity to the business, we working with the stakeholders in terms of giving 100% uptime and everything. So collaboration is something which works with the tools in terms of the digital, more and more conveniences. It's more of a connected world today. What we're talking about, it be entire ecosystems talks about your the stakeholders, it be it internal or external, be it your internal teams which collaboratively work and deliver the different conveniences to the customer or internal stakeholders. And last but not the meal, the ecosystem of the service providers who along with you walk along with you to give an uninterrupted business downtime, basically, which you talk about any service providers, maybe the network service providers, the ISPs, the basically the in case there are certain service providers who you've outsourced your key applications to. So it's the ecosystem talks in a 360-degree connected world which gives you an uninterrupted engagement. So this is how is the world which is going to the new normal now.
Very interesting points, Puneet. You spoke about how remote working is actually a compulsion in today's age and during this pandemic crisis, and how there needs to be an ecosystem which can provide a 360-degree approach to productivity and collaboration. At this point of time, I would like to bring in Ravi into the discussions. Ravi, what is your outlook about this subject, and how do you foresee the future?
Yeah, thanks, Mukbel. And majority of the points I've already covered with Puneet and Mr. Boda. And I'll just take a step back and understand. We definitely need to take in two elements to consideration: whether to sustain the business and to continue the business, and also to grow the business. Because growth is finally, because you can't be only sustaining the business, but it's like lot of industries have been deeply impacted, wherein you can't do anything. And we have been on the fortunate side to be on the FMCG side, wherein we could continue with the essential services part of it. And but I also understand seeing that this pandemic has also acted as a strong catalyst for your business transformations or the IT transformations. Like I'll take my example. If from the FMCG point of view, you take the orders and physically the salesperson will go on the field, go to the retailer, collect the order and give it to the distributor. Either there was an automation in the form of a Salesforce automation which could do from the mobile, but yeah, that he still had to go physically to that place. Now, coming to current scenario, because of the lockdown, he was unable to go to that retailer, or the retailer was unable to meet him. So it led to the lot of disruption in the way that the things were happening in the market today. Like for example, there is a retailer app wherein the retailer himself orders and the order automatically goes to the distributor. We could see a good adoption. We launched the app and we could see a good adoption coming from the retailers' willingness to use that app, which earlier could not have been possible. We could see WhatsApp-based ordering coming in. We could see a lot of penetration of your RPAs, people thinking on how do we implement RPA, because people are not able to work. So what works is the bot that will work. So a lot of disruption is also seen in the market. And if you see now, even up to the next year, you will never see 100% of the workforce coming to offices at least till the next year or so. So what does that mean? That means some of your workforce will continue to work remotely, and you need to enable, you need to give them collaborative tools, you need to give them the platforms that they need to work on. And a very, very important thing which is trying to be come up is the home connectivity, which is the network connectivity at the home, which will going to be a very, very important factor going forward. Because if a person is working from the home and his home network is not good enough, so he's not going to be a good productive employee anywhere, because otherwise he would have come to office being a very strong positive employee. But when he goes to home, his home connectivity is pretty bad. So what does he do? So I think it has led to thinking of all these points and all these directions which you never have otherwise thought about. Home connectivity was at least important to an employer at this point of time earlier. Yeah.
Very interesting points, Ravi. You rightly pointed out that the momentum has to shift from sustaining to growth now as we go into various phases of the reopening of enterprises and economy. That is a very valid point, that enterprises need to think and focus on the growth aspect now. Bringing in Mr. Boda once again into the discussions. So you see that there is this huge change which is happening, most of which a lot of people say that they will be permanent in nature. How do you visualize workforce transformation?
Well, see, simple. At one point in time, sustainability is the key part. But the business as a business, we quickly realized it's just not about sustainability any longer. We also need to transform ourselves. This is the ideal time for transformation, because we are now faced with certain, a situation which is way beyond our control, and not as everybody is in the same scenario. I think the faster we adapt, the faster we transform ourselves, maybe we'll take one step ahead. And it's all about gaining some bit of competitiveness in the industry, right? Gaining some sort of mind share in the industry. Essentially, the real estate works in a slightly different parameters, right? Essentially, it's all about a customer touch points and stuff like that. So we looked at, when we looked at it, why not look at digital as a means? When we look at thriving in a digital world, as a technologist, we start to think about what about that cool technology, like, bring in some bot, bring in some video stuff, bring in some, collaboration, bring in some AR, VR, all these fancy words will come into mind. But they're definitely evolving so fast with the kind of, the products of these nature evolved tremendously over last 3 months, we can say. And their price points, their adoption points, their the moats that were prevented adoption kind of became suddenly flattened and things like that. But however, it's not the technology that would make the change here. It's the greatest challenge is in identifying and balancing the process, people, technology combination to transform, and the invisible layer of data, right? It's like that, like the Indian national symbol, the fourth lion is actually the data. It's not visible, but it's actually, it puts tremendous importance on it. And if you're able to break through the people, process, technology, and see through the data, things will come out differently. But in this process, what we found out is it is all about developing a knowledgeable and strategically adept, cognitively flexible, and a proficient workforce is a key to our transformation. But the scenario is, though we have identified these knowledgeable, how much knowledge is critical in industry like in a traditional industry like real estate? What knowledge are we talking? When we talked about such knowledge, we looked at the basic things which are necessary for, of course, it's all about civil engineering and construction knowledge that was necessary. But the thing which enabled the differentiation is a collaboration knowledge, ability of the person to use the tools, collaborative tools, to be able to drive the work and bring the people together and cohesively hold the team together became a sort of thing. So that became a sort of cognitively flexible, his ability to work with the process differently than from the previous scenario is became that flexibility. This is the things we have identified, and these combination of skills help us take on certain multi skills. Earlier, say if someone was working purely on structure or purely on finish, purely on construction or preparation of the ground, things like that. Now today, because of these abilities and collaboration which was brought in, we are able to deploy the same person for multiple tasks. Essentially, by reducing, we are able to flatten the curve a little bit and to say that, certain skills can be minimized and can be, multi-skilled, can be enabled in a similar person with a certain remote support, which was not the case in the past, or rather it was always available in the past, but there was no compulsion. The compulsion made it became much more easier, so adoption became easier. So they're able to work in multiple ways in a remote manner as a cohesive team. They're able to transform themselves to become a little more, I would say, adaptable and sustainable workforce to continue the business, and even transform the business to that extent when we say we are now able to reduce the total staff required for doing the same project because of the multi-skill.
Right. I would completely agree with you in the sense that this is something that I have been, this is a feedback that I've been getting from a lot of CIO friends and from people in the community that, this pandemic crisis or the COVID crisis has tremendously spurred digital transformation, so to say, in a lot of enterprises. And I also agree with your point that it is the optimum combination of people, process, and technology, along with the underlying layer of data, that will provide the enterprises with a distinctive edge and help them be competitive. I would now like to bring on Ravi into the discussions. So, Ravi, according to your own mind and your thought process, do you think that IT organizations are able to empower employees, do their best from a distance with minimum disruption?
Start from just adding to a couple of points from Mr. Boda, wherein the transformation, what we are going through is not a choice transformation. It is a forced transformation. You are forced to transform. If you don't transform, you're gone. So you're forced transform. The other point was that now an employee used to do everything earlier also. He used to meet, he used to collaborate, he used to continue everything. So what is transformed is the prefix of E. Now he meets, he collaborates. It's that point what is transformed really. And with regards to IT organizations, see, it's the ecosystem which Puneet Pam has already said that if your ecosystem is not supporting, because you are not self-sustained, you're dependent on that ecosystem for you to do it, whether it is from the support point of view, whether it is from the delivery point of view. And what we have observed over these period of months is that we have been able to successfully launch around 5 to 6 different applications at varying degree of complexity and size. Like what I was earlier talking about, the mobile app, which was used by the retailer to put in the order, which was a compulsive app that we had to go in because our people were not able to go to the market. We needed some tool for distributor or the retailer to punch in his order. So these 5 to 6 different applications that we could launch was all because the ecosystem supported us. And we have not been able to see even a single slight change what was there previous to COVID or previous to lockdown and now, because it was definitely need of for even our IT service providers to give those tools to enable those people to help in a better way. Now, if you see, actually what has happened is the support hours have actually gone up, because earlier it was 9 to 6, 9 to 7. Now it is gone. There's no end to it. There's no, you say that after 8 o'clock, there's no calling. It's not, there's no end to it now. So it's, that support has gone beyond the working hours, which were earlier defined working hours. And we would say that now I am at home, he is at home. What does it matter? So but yeah, it is actually, if I take my HR hat as well, because, and it has led to some kind of burnouts as well, because there has not been defined timelines wherein you could cut off saying that this is my office hour and this is my personal life. So it has gone intrusion. But on the IT support point of view, I believe that they have been able to give a good support. And there was slight initial hiccups where it was just an adaptation phase when you go in March. But post April, we have not seen even a single disruption in terms of either availability or in terms of delivery.
Right. So, Ravi, actually, I would really agree with you on this, that the distinctions between, personal life and professional life has really been blurred over the past few months. And you rightly also pointed out about something that Puneet also spoke about earlier, which was the presence of a robust, sustainable ecosystem and the criticality that it has in sustaining enterprises and business operations. So I would once again like to bring in Puneet into the discussions. So Puneet, are you able to provide the right collaborative and productivity tools to ensure business continuity, particularly in these difficult times?
Definitely. So, us is an organization where we did not have a work from home policy. So, first of all, the major focus was because of the NBFC. We were being told by very collaboratively by like RBI to form a quick response cell, basically, having a automation and understanding of which are the critical departments. So, the critical departments got mapped with the critical resources, the process owners. And working from home is something where, like, need of the hour, immediately, whatever VPNs or laptops on call basis were being provided and all that stuff. Now the collaborative technologies played a very big role in our ecosystem. Because it's not about where it's a convergence of people, process, technology, and an underlying data. I fully agree with Mr. Boda and Ravi as well, that the data is something which is like, has to be, it's coming from our vulnerable endpoints. So there is no restrictions where the data is coming, because when you have your endpoints working from anywhere, flexibility of working from anywhere. So the endpoints also where the data prevails, to and fro, and your employees are having access to your corporate applications. So information and cybersecurity also takes a very big role. So here, a 360-degree, assessment where we wanted to, a reduction of manpower was in terms of total manual intervention should go. So RPA played a very big role where we had a big process automation through them. So it's all about how we do, leverage the discovery, the process discovery, where our critical teams who were identified in the new age technologies, we call them as the research and R&D center now. So these technologies, people collaborated with the business stakeholders to make them use what is the use case for them. So not only the turnaround time also decreased, but also the productivity increased multifold when you have to encourage people to understand that you are under the essential team members. We have to take care of your hygiene factor, your governance factor, and everything at the same point. The prioritization has to come on the business projects which are being defined as critical. So convenience to the consumers, consumer to the customers, basically in terms of mobile applications, something which got, had to be done in a week's time, got delivered within two days' time. So that kind of productivity. And when we talk about the employee productivity to keep them, empowered every time, it's where you identify the star performers, understand that, when we decide the entire thing that this is the discovery, then we create the discover the process, blend the process, execute the process, and now the business stakeholders come and do the UAT. And they said that, yeah, wow, when we get the wow factor, it means that we don't want to make just the technology work. The technology should be awesome. Then only, the co-creation model works. And, we've been able to deliver and work because of the strong backbone in IT. All these technologies like IoT, RPA, analytics, scorecards, or you talk about the cybersecurity, SASC, zero trust, these collaboratively work and gave us a 360-degree ecosystem so that, we were able to, in fact, we were not able to assume that we were able to over-deliver. That we never knew our core strengths. During this time we understood that really, I don't have any dependency on outsourcing teams. My team is pretty strong enough and equipped enough and self-sufficient enough to handle any kind of crisis. So that was the power which IT, technology, and the business stakeholders could co-create, and the consumers could get benefited out of it.
Yeah, I mean, adversity tends to bring out and has brought out the best in several people, especially
And
over the.
not only this, Mukbil, the time had come that not only pandemic infused a sense of getting more and more digital, but the digital innovations being done in the past was the time to capitalize them on these pandemic times, which were introduced because the world is going to digital, we also walk that way. But the time had come that whatever tools that you're giving to your teams, they need to be really encashed now. So the capitalization happened now, and the disbursement happened. So that was the core strength that we realized, that the tools which we created now were being done for these particular times, and we really got a wow factor of it.
Right. So this is a very valid point that a fertile ground had already been created by previous digitalization, so that the present times the enterprises could actually encash the strides that they had made in technology, and particularly emerging technologies such as IoT, RPA. They have really gained a lot of momentum over the past few months. I completely agree with that. And now I would like to bring in Sujata into the discussions. So, Sujata, to your own mind, what do you think? How important is it to empower employees?
See, empowering employees with the right tools becomes very critical. I think if there are no tools or there's no empowerment, the users would continue to work in their own silos. They would never be able to collaborate or work together among themselves to get an output. Now, what typically happens is there's something that's assigned to a user. He struggles if there are no right tools. He struggles on his own way tries to find, look up, search information, and ultimately finishes the work. But it could have been finished in a way smaller time, or it could have been done way differently if he had the right tools to do it. So empowering individual users becomes very important in this phase, which is where, as I said, G Suite plays a very important role, because it's not just sending an email or receiving an email, but there are a lot of other things. Like if you look at the other day, I was speaking to an automotive agent, and they're using Meet for demonstrating the showrooms and demonstrating a car. So it's important to look at tools in different ways, because every user may have different needs. It can be probably taking an order of a grocery, or it can be even filling up information or responding to something. And having the tool set or empowering an individual with the tools to respond to any kind of requirements is what plays an important role in this pandemic.
Absolutely, completely agree with you, Sujata, on that. And so, Sujata, sticking on to you for the time being, could you shed some light on how and when and how basically how organizations should go about designing the roadmap for the right workforce transformation?
See, I mean, this can be answered in different ways. In fact, it totally depends on their existing architecture, existing tool set. How do they envision their users to co-work going forward? Plays an important role. And also something about consolidation of tools is something that organizations need to rethink, because as of now, architectures are very dispersed. They are using different tools from different vendors for serving different needs. Now, so consolidation of efforts, consolidation both from an administrator standpoint and from a user standpoint, is what organizations should look at and take it forward, so that they could meet the needs of every users at the same time, and get the work effectively done from every single user. Because see, these are tools which effectively touch every single user in an organization. It's not for the IT team, it's not for a HR team, but it's for every single user. So
right, absolutely,
plays an important role.
Completely agree with you. Getting the work done, very important point, and getting it done effectively. I completely agree with you. And we would now really have to bring in Arunachalam. I'm sorry that we took a little bit of time in coming to you. Arunachalam, are you there? Wonderful. So, Arunachalam, going by the discussions that we have had, you must have heard of a lot of challenges, that enterprises faced during this phase of, unprecedented times, and how the crisis panned out. And so, how do you think that, what should organizations do? Particularly, what should tech leaders like CIOs do to overcome those challenges? Particularly, the ones that companies face in empowering their employees.
Yeah, first of all, we should thank all the panelists here, the CIO from FMCG, from NBFC, and from real estate industries, talking about various problems what they had faced. I think they had summarized almost all of these things. So based on our views as a system integrator, sorry. So we are managing about 3,000 plus customers in the country, as small as a 50 user organization and as large as a 150,000 user organization. So when it comes, the problem is in different sizes for different organizations, I would say, right? And we support across industries. So every industry faces a very unique challenge. But based on whatever interactions we are having with the CXO folks across these customer organizations, all of them are looking at modernizing three areas, right? Predominantly application modernization, wherein the time is such that every application needs to bring in a business revenue for an organization. So people are using this particular time to modernize their applications to get more productivity out of their business. In fact, Mr. Ravi was talking about launching new applications, microservices, etc., to be facilitating the flow of revenue for the organization. So application becomes very, very critical for an organization, right? Now, similarly, data modernization. People have generated tons and tons of data already, but at this point of a pandemic time, how do we get a unique insight into that data is another crucial point which CIOs are definitely looking at. So data modernization is another area where people are investing time and effort very seriously in terms of getting into what else could be done, etc. Now, the applications and the data are hosted on the infra, right? So that again needs to be modernized, right? And that is where we are talking about giving a good network connectivity, good security solution for the end users, giving them a good workspace for the end users for them to be able to effectively deliver their day-to-day services and get the results done. And I'm sure all the three CIO panelists spoke about people, process, and technology. So as per our observation, every organization is emphasizing on the people part of it, keeping the person in front of anything else behind the organization. Because as long as we can make that person productive, then it can mean a lot more difference for every organization. Now, in terms of what organizations are looking at in the new normal, right? The organizations which are really empowered, which are really ready for the new normal, will be able to capitalize once when the market opens up. So a lot of our customers are really discussing on their boardrooms in terms of seriously, how do I change things when the business becomes normal? How can they compete effectively against their peers in the market in terms of being able to deliver more with the lesser cost, right? So there are various initiatives across, like people spoke about automation, people spoke about collaboration. All these are definitely now, earlier it was dealt by one particular team in IT. Now these are all effectively being discussed at the board level in terms of how do we make this reachable to every single employee in the organization. Now the other challenge which most of our other customers are saying, people who have gone back to their native place and out of towns, they're not wanting to come back to the city. So this is going to put a lot of stress on the organization to be able to get work done from wherever they are, right? And offices are getting redesigned. Now the whole IT has to be revamped to the new model of the IT operating environment. So overall, though it puts enough stress on every IT and the business organization, but I think over a period of time, we'll have a very refined kind of a scenario where organization had thought through this whole process end to end, will be able to sustain and make their businesses stand out compared to the other organizations. I think it was a long answer. I hope I was able to uh,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah. I,
clarify.
in fact, your response actually leads me into my second question. You
Yes,
spoke
please.
about, the presence of an app-oriented world and app-oriented economy today, as well as which is, accompanied by an explosion in data. So,
Mm.
uh, taking other modern technologies, for example, mobility, analytics, and cloud, what do you think is their criticality as far as the digital transformation of the workforce is concerned in the present times?
Yeah, so that's again a crucial point, Mukbil. In terms of mobility today, instead of the IT teams discussing it, is the HR teams which are owning this mobility factor. In terms of right from onboarding a new employee or an offboarding an existing employee, how the whole process can be automated and how it can be seamless, and what are the tools, XYZ tools that can be given for collaboration and for delivering the work for the employee, is becoming a critical factor for the organization. Similarly, analytics, right? For every industry, different data is to be analyzed in different manner. That again becomes a very crucial aspect for the organization. So putting all this together, definitely people are looking at redesigning their whole thought process in terms of how the new normal needs to be approached. Like definitely there is an emphasis on these areas, whatever you spoke about in terms of mobility, in terms of modernization, in terms of analytics and cloud. If you look at it, there are a lot of offices where we've not been able to see the customers accessing the data center due to whatever reason, right? So today people are talking about moving their core applications onto the cloud, not about the top-notch corporate enterprises, but traditional enterprises who never said no, who always said no to the cloud. Now they said, let me take that risk, because they are able to see the benefit and they want to keep things moving. So the cloud consumption has automatically increased like anything. And when we are moving the core application to the cloud, like whatever Sujata was mentioning, we need to move the collaboration also as a part of a cloud service, so that people get the integrated work environment for their users. Not like I have a legacy messaging infrastructure, I have a cloud application. So people are moving to cloud, whether it is a data warehousing, mobility, whether it is their core applications or the data which is stored in the cloud. Everything is now moving into the cloud, which is the center point of focus for all the organization. That way, I would say this pandemic has created an emphasis, the importance of cloud, in terms of it's not an option anymore. It's a mandatory requirement that has become for every organization today. I hope I was able to answer that particular question, Mukul.
Yes, yes, very much, Arunachalam. So I would now request to you to start your presentation about how you can help organizations do that.
Sure. So I thank the panelists for bringing their valuable points. Now I'd like to go through a brief presentation in terms of how can we add value to whatever Sujata had been mentioning on the G Suite solution as a system integrator. How can we enable the enterprises to move seamlessly into the new normal in terms of having a very effective collaboration platform? So I'll not get into the solution per se, but in terms of what we are doing together with Google in the market and how can we enable our customers is what I'm going to cover in a moment now. Just hold on, please. Is my screen visible? Is my screen
Yes,
visible to everyone?
Arunachalam. Yes, yes, it
Yeah, in the
is.
interest of time, I will not get into too much detail because I'm sure we have a question and answer session, which is very, very important for the audience to get their points clarified. So let me quickly cover this particular point in terms of what value we bring into the whole cloud journey and the transformation journey to our customers, right? So we are a 26-year old organization having a very deep expertise on the end-to-end system integration aspects, whether it is at the compute, whether it is at the storage, whether it is at the network security, any of the typical aspects of the IT solution. So, we have been providing core infrastructure solutions either on-premise or on the cloud for our customers. And as I mentioned earlier, we are serving about 3,000 plus customers today. And we have partnership with about 60 plus OEMs. These partnerships are at least about 20 plus years old at the highest level, and we are able to bring in significant value to our customers' transformation journey. Overall, as an organization, we have about 300 plus OEM certified resources for us to be able to deliver the right level of integration services to our customers. And we are one of the first SI partner in the country to have our own LEED Gold certified headquarters, making a difference to the contribution to the community or as a corporate social responsibility for the environment. So, we typically solve the customers' digital transformation challenges, be it the business challenges or the technical or the technology challenges. Over the period of time, a lot of organizations has created a technical debt, and now people are taking this pandemic as a primary what do you say challenge and trying to get rid of those technical debt. So our overall go-to-market offering is Digital Edge, which is our digital transformation offering, where we are able to help customers achieve more by spending less in their organization. So there are 6 pillars. I'll not go into more details on each of the every pillars. I'll quickly cover what these 6 pillars are. The core is the digital infrastructure, where it could be a on-premise private cloud or a public cloud, Google, which we are serving to the customers. We'll be able to host all their applications, data, and the services, either on an IaaS model or a platform as a service model or a software as a service model, right? The second portion is the modern workplace, and that is where our G Suite collaboration, our G Suite offering comes into very, very handy for almost every organization whom we are working with. The whole objective of this particular team is to provide any user any device access of any information over any network in a secure manner with the maximum possible artificial intelligence and capabilities that can deliver significant results for our customers, internal and their external organization. Then comes a digital transformation where we are doing modernization on application data and the infra part of it. We provide artificial intelligence solutions that can be hosted securely on the Google Cloud for multiple industries. Currently, we are talking to some manufacturing customers. Currently, we're talking to an automotive manufacturing and banking and finance customer, multiple solutions. And this automation is a serious focus area for us, where we are helping customers automate their business processes and the IT processes in this particular tough times. People are modernizing the DevOps and the DevSecOps environments. There, we are providing significant value in terms of engagement with the customers. Then for cloud is the Crimson Cloud organization, which focuses 100% on the public cloud solutions, be it collaboration, be it artificial intelligence, be it any other services that are required for our customers. Then we have a data-centric security pillar, wherein it becomes very, very essential for customers to secure their information and meet the compliance requirements on the public cloud services. While Google provides an excellent security, we add up the security on the application and on the data layer part of it. So we provide end-to-end technology services integrating various of the OEM solutions that we bring value to our customers today. So having spoke about our overall organization, let me dive a little bit deeper into Crimson Cloud, and I'll touch upon what G Suite capabilities we bring in and how can we support our customers. Right. So if you look at it, Google is a predominant, public cloud service provider partner. We are working towards premier partner certification with the highest level of skill sets internally in terms of having capabilities across multiple domains of solutions and services that Google could offer. Today, we are the one of the partner who can provide data solutions on the cloud. We can provide the infra solutions in terms of migrating the data centers to the cloud, and then we have collaboration services that we can offer for the customers to move. People who are looking at moving enterprise applications like SAP, we can help them move seamlessly into the cloud. So we provide multiple things, and we as a cloud provider give you a complete ecosystem of solutions. It's not that customer will have to go to 10 different providers to get their solutions addressed, be it a risk management in the cloud journey, or be it a security, be it optimizing the storage environment, or being it an automation. Everything we are able to do it for the customers, and also giving them visibility of their enterprise application performance from a single console. So all these components seamlessly integrate with Google solutions on the cloud, and we are able to make that difference for our customers' cloud journey. And this is in a nutshell about what we offer as a part of our cloud services. So we support customers on any stage of their cloud journey, somebody who's just wanting to test their feet or test the waters into the cloud, or somebody who's very seasoned who's building a IP out of the cloud solution, what they're already using. So we are able to support any kind of a customer journey at whatever stage they are in, and be able to develop a maximum value for that particular customer organization. As far as the different services models, we as a service provider provide all the as a service model. I'll cover about it in a single slide in terms of what we have done in this particular pandemic situation to provide as a service model to our customers. So our core themes are day 0, day 1, and day 2 activities for the cloud journey, which means from a designing, implementation, migration perspective, and the post-sale or post-migration managed services part of it for our customers, right? So to summarize, Crimson today has about 150 plus customers and counting in terms of production cloud customers. We have an overall team size of about 85 plus team members. Certified resources, there are about 60 plus certified and trained resources in different cloud technologies, and we do operate a 24/7 dedicated cloud managed services operation center. On the other side, Frontier brings 25 plus years of expertise providing public and hybrid cloud solution. Overall, across the country, we are managing about 3,000 plus customers IT transformation and their cloud transformation journey. So I spoke about anything as a service. We have started it as a very serious initiative based on multiple CIOs input to us in terms of where getting a capital expenses approval is becoming a next to impossible task. So we had worked it out quickly in terms of offering an end-to-end as a service portfolio. And in that regard, Crimson Collaborate is primarily the G Suite offering, which we are offering to our customers as a collaboration service. So whether it is from the storage, backup, DR, right, whether it is migrating the application, everything we are providing to the customer as a service without any commitment, and be able to transform all the legacy challenges which every organization has been facing so far. So with regard to G Suite, we have extensive capabilities in terms of being able to support the customer's G Suite journey. Right. So we have been dealing over the past 26 years in terms of experience of managing multiple collaboration solutions and tools. Today, currently, we are supporting over 15,000 plus users across different mailing solutions, and we have certified skills on each of these mailing solutions, right? The core value what we bring in is a seamless migration from any legacy mailing system into the G Suite collaborative system. See, people have been used to the traditional legacy system. What Sujata was talking about, artificial intelligence based smart collaborative system, how do they really use it after subscribing to these services? And that is where we make a difference, wherein we can work with the customer's stringent timelines and budgets to be able to make these solutions very, very effective for their organization. And as I told you, enterprise scale implementation, whether it is 50 users or 100,000 users, we have in-house capabilities and the strength to be able to execute such implementations and migrations for a customer, right? In terms of what specific services we offer to our customers on G Suite, we do the complete designing, planning, help the customers evaluate all the capabilities, and then finally do the implementation or the migration services, right? So when you move to a new collaboration platform, the old data needs to be migrated seamlessly for people to be able to consume the same after the migration. And somewhere we have to do a platform migration as well. So we do that very, very effectively for our customers. There are different types of devices that are there in the customer places today. We ensure that the G Suite solution seamlessly integrate with all these different devices what a customer has, right? And also we have a specific end user enablement services for them to get as comfortable as possible with the G Suite environment to be taken up. And we are also a very serious player in the security area. With the native G Suite security capabilities, how can we integrate with some kind of MDM and an enterprise mobility solution is another key area where we can do consulting and implementation for our customers so that they get a true value out of the overall investment what they're making on the G Suite. So with that, I would like to conclude this brief session and pass on the stage to Mukbil for him to take up the question and answer session, and we'd be glad to address any specific questions on the technology front or on the solution offerings jointly discussing with Google. Yeah, over to you, Mukbil.
Thanks, Arunachalam. It was a really concise, precise, simple, and to the point presentation and speech. I really thank you for that. And friends, we now would like to head into the question and answer session, although we have overshot by the time limit a little. But I would still request all of you to keep sending questions to us, which and we will try to accommodate as many of them as possible. So, sticking with Arunachalam, and I would also request all the speakers to be really brief with their responses as we are running short of time. So, Arunachalam, taking to you, I completely agree with you that this is the age of everything as a service.
Right.
So, the first question that I have is from Mr. Shishadri. He asks, in the work from home environment, how do enterprises handle bandwidth constraints?
Okay, now, there are different ways to address this in terms of we working with Google and Google partner Itopia. We can provide the workspaces on the Google Cloud, wherein the data does not flow directly from the cloud into the end user's device. You are able to achieve multiple benefits out of this. One is security, where the data does not travel out of the cloud. And second, you get at least 5 to 6 or 7 times more performance compared to your traditional VPN based access. So definitely we can give you hosted desktops, hosted application services on Google, and irrespective of the number of users, so that users can use any device to be able to connect to the cloud environment. The backend core applications sit on the Google Cloud platform, and we create another environment to provide the workspace services, wherein we can integrate the G Suite and other components apart from their enterprise application into a single workspace, and using any device, it could be an iPad, it could be any device, they can securely access the applications going forward. That is possible, and we can do a specific discussion with Mr. Seshadri to show him how this works and for him to feel the difference. Yes, that's definitely achievable today. And once you do this, the bandwidth requirement is 64 to 128 kbps. That's a kind of shrink that you can expect per user at the end user side.
The next question is by Mr. Udyanan, and it's a very valid question, which I would like Sujata to address. Is in what ways is Google Cloud different from its competitors?
Awesome question. Something that I usually speak every single day as to how G Suite becomes a very different platform, being a truly cloud solution. I mean, if you look at any other solution, they have footprints of on-prem, a hybrid, but G Suite is that one solution which is a true cloud solution, and with its offerings, it gives you that true unlimited storage, which isn't really available in other offerings. And with organizations being more and more data driven, and with data increasing at an exponential pace, I think handling data is done way better with G Suite, and with the search coming with it to help search out for any information quickly and bring the collaboration better.
Mukbil and Sujata, I would like to add a few points to that so that it can make much more benefit for the questions asked. It was a right question. Security is completely different on Google compared to any other cloud service providers. And today, 60% of the world's internet data travels through Google's own network. So thereby, the performance of the applications hosted on Google gets much enhanced compared to any other provider's network. Retraction capabilities now using on any of the Google services, the DLP capabilities of either a social security number or an Aadhaar number or a credit card number, while it is put in a document, it can be instantly retracted live so that the data is protected for the customer. So these are the very niche differential points which makes it compelling for a customer to look into the Google Cloud versus any other cloud offerings.
And one last point I would like to also add, is about how the web way of working changes the collaboration drastically, because you are no longer dependent on some installable on your device, but go truly cloud. Yeah.
Great. I would really want to bring in Mr. Boda now into the discussions. There is a very interesting question by Mr. Ankit Mittal. He asks, what are some of the critical aspects to be considered while prioritizing business resiliency? And as always, I would request you to be a little brief and precise.
The question asked is quite elaborate too. If you really look at it from the parameters, see, from the business resiliency, the cash is the king. Look at how the cash flows and follow the cash flow process, and then identify which are all the processes that are touching this cash flow, which is, in a traditional world, it is called the Potter's value flow. If you just follow the traditional business knowledge of Potter's value flow, you are almost certain which process is to be made resilient and which process is to be made sustainable in any situation. I think that's a simple answer for a long question.
You have really been very brief, and I think this is something which comes with years and years of experience, how to really address a question which is very elaborate in a very brief and very precise fashion. Thank you so much, Mr. Boda. Now bringing in Puneet into the discussion. So Puneet, this question is very apt for you, and I would like you to take this. It is by Mr. Parijat Mukhopadhyay. How safe is business data in various cloud environments?
Okay, so A very interesting question, if I can say that. Very interesting question. See, the approach today depends from companies to companies, like, what kind of, cloud, arrangement they have to make for hosting their core applications, be it mission critical or be it, the applications which is not making any sense to the business. It is more of employee related internal applications. So it depends, like, a simple vanilla implementation, just going with, like, hosting just because the world is moving to cloud, we also move to cloud. No, it is where, the ecosystem of any organization or technology leader knows himself. But at the groundwork, what will be the best fitment for them to host their cloud environment? It is at times, even we people are, in a confused state of mind. What will, get resonate with our kind of a ecosystem? So probably in such scenarios, where if we are feeling that we are confused and we are not able to take faster decisions, there is no harm in reaching out to the SMEs, calling people like Google or, any XYZ. I cannot name the other people of the world. Call them, tell them what exactly are the areas where you're getting frustrated, and, what kind of a combination support that you would like to take. So coming to the question of data, the data resiliency talks about, we can have a multi-cloud approach. We can create multiple data basically, what is the data, basically what we can say, data packages or data models which talk about, because if you say that our kind of environment where we have multi-regulatory environment, where we, because RBI beings at the help of it, but IRDA is there, or many other regulatories are there. So every time, as a part of a mandate and a compliance point of view, you have to give a declaration in terms of, are we compliant or we are not compliant, in terms of the, the master directions that keep on coming in terms of like B2B, B2C, in terms of even for the digital spaces, or even in terms of, like, how in case we want to co-locate or do a complete hosting of our data center of our critical applications on the cloud. First and foremost is that we really want to see that where we are hosting the data, are they compliant enough, because they'll be taking care of all the compliance standards in place. Definitely, unless they are not, ISO certifications are not in place or not the thing, then secondly, do the service providers have the capacity to declare in terms there is a data breach happening, right? So they should make a privacy law, should be able to tell them, because it tells that in case we have, as a service provider, the company's data is reside on, the customer data is residing on any XYZ service provider, do they have a data breach? Have they declared it, or they have not, that the data, the breach has been compromised. Third thing is in terms of what is the turnaround time in case the breach has already happened. Okay, the sabotage or whatever has been done, what is the timeline to, basically restoring the reputation back, right? So these 3 or 4 things in terms of functionally, technically, and, regulatory point of view or compliance perspective, again, I will say over here 360-degree approach. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
unless these things are not taken care of, then probably no amount of data resiliency can, this thing can take place. So it is build, transform, and operate model that normally works out best.
Build, transform, and operate. And of course, 360-degree is your favorite word.
Maybe I might be getting into 720 soon.
So it's been a really very, very interesting discussion, and I'm really sorry. I still have a lot of questions, but I would request all of them to be taken offline. Please feel free to get in touch with the representatives here. I've tried to accommodate as many questions as possible. And last but not the least, Ravi, coming to you just for 30 seconds, your parting thoughts on the situation today, and how do you, the outlook that you have for the future. 30 seconds. I know it's
I've been pretty quick. Yeah. So again, pointing to the same fact, saying that we are here to grow and the businesses have to grow, and we need to find relevant tools, technology, and keep on going and keep on using these platforms. Be secure, because the safety is a very, very important element. You can't be implementing tools without looking into security aspect of it, because that's very, very critical. And because if you see, there have been quite a big jump in the number of attacks, cyber attacks that have happened in the past after the pandemic. So we need to be very, very careful on those fronts as well.
You have been super sweet and super short. So in the interest of time, I see that we are already around 20 minutes past the stipulated time, but nonetheless we have had a lovely discussion and a very wonderful exchange of thoughts. Thank you so much, Ravi, Arunachalam, Sujata, Puneet, Mr. Boda. It's been a really very insightful exchange of thoughts. And thank you all for joining us today, attendees and the panelists. I would also like to thank our partners, Google Cloud and Crimson Cloud, without whose possible. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. And I look forward to more mutual engagements in the future.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.